Hello, welcome back to A Taste of Honey with yours truly, Iris Carignan. It's good to be back again. I think you might have missed the fact that I haven't read any more excerpts from my book, The Buzz at Chicky-Pie's Cafe lately. The last time I did it, I read out of chapter 6 and pretty much finished it. And so today I'd like to take you through chapter 7. And to give you a little backdrop in case you've forgotten where we were in chapter 6, that was primarily the chapter when Elise takes a train. She manages to get on the train and escape her abusive home. And she takes a train down into a town in Southern California called Riverview, instead of going to Flagstaff, which she had originally planned. So I'm going to start there in where we left off before at the beginning of chapter 7. And you may have noticed that I'm no longer wearing my back brace. If you've watched any of my other recent videos, you might have seen that strange black gizmo on me. So I'm so glad to be out of that. I'm healing pretty well, and thankfully most of the pain is gone. So I'm celebrating by wearing a sunny yellow blouse. Plus I'm celebrating the sunny weather that we're finally having in Southern California now, instead of the June gloom we've been seeing. So thought I'd wear a bright color for you today. So here we go. Let's get started. And I wanted to mention too, right away before I forget, that if you haven't gotten your copy of The Buzz at Chicky-Pie's Cafe yet, just happens that the Barnes & Noble in Westlake Village currently has probably 2, possibly 3 copies on hand on the shelves that you could pick up that are signed copies by moi. And so it's really convenient for you. If you haven't gotten one yet, you can just go pick one up right there at Barnes & Noble in Westlake Village at the Promenade. And I'm very honored that they have some of them actually on the shelf now. And I had a very good book signing there a little over a week ago, so that was great too. So anyway, want to let you know about that. And so I didn't want to forget to mention that before I get into this. So listen up as I put my southern voice back on. Now that Mama Mel is running things around here, I started learning even more about the good Lord. She tell me that folks has to obey what the Lord has showed them to do. Sometimes they has to be brave and strong and step out in faith. And when they do it, God can make things sweet again. It made me think about what it say in the Bible about that. In the book of Judges, it says, out of the eater came something to eat, and out of the strong came something sweet. What is sweeter than honey, and what is stronger than a lion? The next day, Elise. I awoke begrudgingly to a mockingbird's repetitive song outside my window. I don't want to get up yet. Groaning and pulling the covers over my head to block the morning sunlight, I squeezed my tired eyes shut, my body begging for more rest. Nearly dozing off again, I mumbled, I gotta get up and make Bobby and Bee their breakfast. I stopped short. Wait! I'm not there anymore. I shot up, bolting straight out of bed. I triumphantly lifted my fist up in the air and said, yes, I did it. I really did it. A feeling of unfettered freedom washed over me. I jumped up and whooped and declared victory for myself. Bouncing joyfully, I walked over to the window and cranked it open as I gazed at sleepy Riverview. The town was waking up too. From my 3rd-story window, a distant river glistened in the morning sun. A handful of people were strolling along the street below as if they had all the time in the world. Colorful storefronts poked in and out with an uneven greeting, vying for the walkers' attention as they passed. Dressing each street corner, ornate lampposts hung with lush flower baskets, and shade trees added fresh green texture. Their leaves sparkled in reflection of the rising sun, handing off the breeze from one leaf to another, fresh and full of the town's eclectic scents. Finally, a street sign posted a name, Riverview Village Drive. I'd landed in a Southern California town, but it felt like a new world, far removed from the desert landscape of Arizona. A baby's laughter and creaky stroller wheels animated the street scene. Footfalls of a man briskly clicked by, his casual suit and briefcase swinging jauntily as he walked towards the lady and the baby. "Good morning," he nodded as he passed by. An older woman swished dirt away from a gift shop entrance, and the sudden screeching of tables and chairs arranged in front of a nearby cafe rudely interrupted all serenity. Then a fresh breeze wafted the pleasant aroma of cinnamon and sugar up to my window, as if making sweet amends. My stomach growled in response. A busboy walked inside a cafe and then returned to the patio with an American flag. Placing it in a holder high above the door brought my eyes up to a sign overhead. It read, "Good News Cafe." Well, I guess I could go there for breakfast. Maybe I'll feel up to figuring out what comes next. Just then, a ping indicated a text coming in. I reached for my phone. It was from Ruben. "Gato Blanco, don't remember it ever being so clean. Muchas gracias. All is clear aquí. Be safe. Hasta luego, mi amiga, Ru." Texting back a happy face emoji, I wrote, "Sí, I saw you yesterday. You were great. Muchas gracias, mi amigo. Sorry I didn't get your plate cover back on. Ran out of town. Let's talk soon. E." Shuffling into the ensuite, I splashed cold water on my face and brushed my teeth. When I stepped back into the bedroom, I saw the trash bag containing everything I owned lying on the floor. Looking around the room, I took inventory, hoping to see some new treasures. But except for my backpack, there wasn't much there. The room had a chest of drawers with a small microwave on its top. A pen and notepad were on the bedside nightstand. To my delight, a coffee pot and coffee grounds peeked out from the other side of the microwave. Pouring coffee grounds into the filter and filling the reservoir with water, I tapped the button to start the coffee brewing. The scent was heavenly. Then digging into my backpack, I found my leftover bagel and spread it with some peanut butter. Gulping it down with a few swigs of water curbed my appetite, if only a little. My last meal was a PB&J sandwich and a few crackers and cheese. I noticed some cheese remained and decided to save it for lunch. Then opening the room closet, I saw a small fridge inside. Perfect. Can't believe I found this place. Maybe God likes me after all. $40 a day. This place is a steal, I mused. Buzz went the coffee pot, and I reached for a cup. With a warm cup of joe, I sat at the mirrored dresser, pen poised to lay out a plan. But instead, the events of yesterday and all the reasons that precipitated my move came flooding in on me. Hopefully Jack thought I was headed for Flagstaff if he found evidence of the ticket on his computer. My plan worked, though. I know it did. They'll never think of looking for me this far away. They're probably celebrating right now. And it's probably saved them the mess of getting rid of me themselves. Wah, wah. A horn from an approaching train jarred me back to present. Jolting up, I knocked the chair backward onto the floor. Coffee sloshed out of my cup, nearly hitting my sweatshirt. The solid steel chair, no doubt from some 50s cafe, crashed into the wood floor with a loud bang. Wiping up the spilled coffee and righting the chair, I hoped I hadn't disturbed anyone. Well, guess it's time to unpack. Plunking down on the floor, I pulled the black bag towards me and leaned against the foot of the bed to begin. The first thing out of the bag was my paint box. I'd thrown it in last minute, imagining I'd have a chance to do a little art after things settled down. Setting it aside, I pulled out the clothes I brought and tossed them into one of the dresser drawers before hanging my dresses in the narrow closet. Not much, but it's better than nothing. Somehow talking to myself helped me feel less alone. Hope that's not a bad sign, talking to myself. Next, I pulled out Bee's baby brush, pacifier, and a photo. It was a picture of Bee. Big blue eyes, soft blonde hair, and a smile that won everyone's heart the second she flashed it. Emotions tugged at my heart. I thought about the sweet girl I had to leave behind. Tears filled my eyes as I gazed at the snapshot. She was the one bright light I'd known since I was a little girl. The only shining light. My chest tightened. I hunched over, clutching her photo to my heart, and let the tears flow. I'm the one who raised Bee. I was the one who loved her, loved that she called me Mommy instead of her real mother, Jane. Jane didn't give a damn, not about me or Bee or even Bobby. I had been more than glad to leave the horrors of that household, but leaving without Beatrice tore me apart. A slightly crumpled paper caught my eye from inside the bag. Lifting and smoothing it out, I smiled at Bee's parting gift, the picture of a bumblebee on a flower. Oh, my bumblebee, will I ever see you again? I held the painting up, admiring its childlike simplicity. It was better than any masterpiece hanging in a gallery. I swiped at the tears still trickling down my cheek as I stood to put the picture in a prominent place by the mirror. As I shuffled past the bag, a pink teddy bear tumbled out, landing on my toes. Although a little tattered and worn, it was my only childhood memento. Picking it up, I cuddled it, hoping for some comfort. Looking into its glass eyes, it stared back at me, triggering a terrible memory. Some childhood memories never go away. They're like waxy crayons colored into our hearts, nearly impossible to erase or cover up. This one had a bad habit of resurfacing as a brutal reminder of my abusive beginnings. But this time, it was more complete. I saw myself as a little girl, cowering and trembling in the front seat of a family car. I could still hear my screams of fear, rejection, and betrayal. Trance-like, I relived the experience like it was yesterday. The mere memory of the bumpy ride up to the Mexican border and the dust blowing in through the open window caused me to cough. Again, my body felt the acrid heat of the desert and sweat dripped down my face. Once again, I felt my heart being torn to pieces as I was jerked out of the car and forced to go with a stranger. Finally stopping in Laredo, my mother got out, slammed the car door, and came around to the passenger side. Even at 6, I sensed something wasn't right. I sat crouched down in the front seat, tightly clutching my teddy bear and trembling with fear. My mother walked over to a stranger and began talking with him, excitedly waving her arms all around. I didn't know what they were saying, but could sense it wasn't good. The man handed a wad of cash to my mother. Cowering in a fit of fear that grew with every second, I waited. She returned to the car, yanked the door open, and shouted, "Get out now!" I could still see her angry red face. I was sobbing as she shouted senseless words in Spanglish and ordered me out of the car again. But confused, I stayed put, frozen in fear. Then Mommy marched to the rear of the car, opened the trunk and took out a bag. Stomping back to the open car door, she jerked my arm, lifted me up, thrust me into the arms of the strange man, and handed him the bag. The last memory of my mother was of her as she ran to the car. Sounds of that day still thundered in my ears. The car door slamming, the roar of the car's engine blasting away, the wind swirling clouds of dust all around, men shoving me into the back of a large truck amid other children crying. I swallowed my sobs just enough to open the bag that my mother had packed. Inside, I found a handful of clothes, a book, and a photo of me. Clinging to my pink teddy bear that day, the realization hit me, knocking the air from my chest. Mommy planned to leave me all along. Coming out of my daze, I considered the scene and the scattered items before me. In retrospect, the thought of her premeditation stung even more. Now squeezing the bear unmercifully, I wanted to cry, to wail, but a sputter of fearful gasps was all that came. All the pain and trauma of those moments, Mommy driving away, Jack forcing himself on me, the fear gripping me as I waited for the train doors to open. I wanted all the pent-up emotion to pour out of me like a flood held back for far too many years. But the tears wouldn't come. I sat staring instead, my fingers subconsciously rubbing my locket. Oddly, I'd had an attachment to it for as long as I could remember, yet couldn't recall why. After a long while, I got up from the floor, lay down on the bed, and gave in to more rest again. And that's the end of 7. So I read all of it today. I hope it kept your interest and whet your appetite for more of a taste of honey in the buzz at Chicky-Pie's Cafe. So come back for more. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing next time. It might be another cooking demo. As if you read some or most of the Chicky-Pie's Cafe, you'll know that there are certain foods mentioned quite often. Certain pies, a pie that Lily introduces, and of course the one I did last time was a cooking demo of chicken pot pie and how it tied into the story and some wisdom that Mel gave to Elise. So I have some ideas which one of those foods in the book that I mentioned that I might demo next time, or you might see me do another interview coming up. So we'll see what happens, and stand by and come back for more of the buzz at Chicky-Pie's Cafe, a taste of honey with Iris Carignan. Thanks.